Hey there, and welcome to The Explainer. If you've ever planned an event, you know the real struggle isn't just getting people interested. It's actually getting your event onto their calendar. Today, we're going to break down a really cool tool designed to crush that problem, the AWS Calendar Invite Server.
Right? We've all been here. You've got this awesome list of events coming up. Maybe it's webinars, live streams, or even company meetings. But how do you bridge that gap? How do you get it from your spreadsheet onto every single person's calendar? That is the final crucial step between just telling people about something and making sure they actually show up. Let's give this a name. Let's call it the calendar friction problem. Because every single time someone has to manually copy and paste details, create a new calendar entry, set a reminder, you're giving them a chance to get distracted and drop off. It seems like a tiny little barrier, but trust me, it adds up and it can absolutely tank your attendance rates.
But what if you could just get rid of that friction completely? That's exactly where this server-powered solution comes in. We're going to look at how a smart backend system can solve this problem once and for all. So what is this thing really? Well, think of it like the engine room for all of your events. It's a backend system that's built to automatically pull in or ingest all your event information from wherever it lives. And once it has all that data, it can power different apps to shoot out calendar invites. It's basically the central brain for your entire event operation.
Okay, so we know it's an engine, but how does it actually connect to everything else? To really get why this is so powerful, we need to pull back the curtain and see how all the different pieces, from the raw data to the apps you actually click on, talk to each other.
It's actually a pretty simple three-step flow. First, an ingest service just goes out and grabs all your event data. Maybe it's from a Google Calendar, or like in the demo we're looking at, a whole list of MLB games. Second, all that info gets neatly organized and stored on that central AWS server. And finally, the apps on the front end, the tools you see and use, connect to that server to actually do stuff with the data. They use something called an API, which is kind of like a secure translator that lets all the different software talk to each other to send out the invites. And what's really cool here is how flexible it is. The demo shows two totally different tools that plug into that same powerful engine. On one hand, you've got a user-friendly app called Calendar Snack for managing events, and on the other, there's a more direct service interface. They're used for different things, but they're both drawing their power from the exact same centralized event data. All right, so let's get to the really practical part. How do you actually send invites with this thing? Well, the system gives you two really distinct, really powerful ways to do it, and it all depends on what you're trying to do. Let's break them down. So method number one is perfect when you want to go big. Imagine you're promoting a public webinar on your website or social media. This approach lets you create an automated event page where people can sign themselves up. And check out how simple this is. With literally one click, the system generates a public landing page for your event. Someone who's interested goes to the page, pops in their email, clicks the button, and bam, the server instantly fires off a calendar invite directly to them. And here's the best part. The system also tracks that it was sent, so you know who's got it. It is completely hands-off for you. Okay, so that covers getting the public to sign up. But what if you already have a list of people you want to invite? That brings us to our second method, the direct send engine. Think of this as the more targeted, surgical approach. Using that service interface we mentioned earlier, you can actually browse all the events sitting on the server. In the demo, they pull up a huge list of upcoming baseball games. You just use a little picker to select the specific games you want, type in the person's email address, and hit send. The invite goes out instantly. It's all about precision and total control. So we've seen the architecture, we've seen the two ways to send invites in action, but what's the big takeaway here? What does all this really mean for anyone trying to get people to show up to something? When you boil it all down, the value here really comes down to four things. First, speed. You're generating pages and sending invites in seconds, not hours. Second, automation. You can say goodbye to manually creating calendar invites for every single person. Third, simplicity. You've got two super straightforward methods that cover pretty much any situation you can think of. And finally, centralization. All of your event data lives in one clean, powerful backend, which just makes everything so much easier to manage. And at the end of the day, it all comes back to this one quote from the demo itself. The whole point of this entire system, the fancy backend, the APIs, all of it, is just to make it insanely easy to send calendar invites. It's all about removing that friction, not just for your attendees, but for you, the organizer, too. And that kind of leaves us with one last big question to think about. I mean, the demo showed sending invites for a few baseball games,
But what if you scale this up? What if your organization's entire event schedule for the whole year could be shared and dropped onto anyone's calendar with just a single click? The possibilities there are, well, they're pretty staggering. Thanks for tuning in.